Learn Excel from Mr. Excel Podcast, episode 2303. XOR is odd. Hey, welcome back to the Mr. Excel Netcast. I'm Bill Jelen. Today we're talking about the XOR function introduced in Excel 2013. It's an exclusive OR. Now, we've always had the OR function and the AND function, but exclusive OR is different. All right, so if both items are false, then of course both XOR and OR return false. First one false, second one true, they're true. First one true, second one false, that's true as well. But here's the difference. Exclusive OR says, hey, we're looking for exactly one item to be correct, or to be true. And if they both are true, then exclusive OR says false. And I was excited when this came out because I work on a scheduling committee. First thing we have to do is find all of the shifts where exactly one person asked for that, right? Then you don't have to use any seniority rules. Bam, you got the shift. But check it out. Does it work? All right, so here we have a whole bunch of people who are volunteering for this organization. If one of them says, yes, I'll take it, bam, XOR works. And two, that should make exclusive OR say, no deal. But here's the problem. If I go to a third one, exclusive OR incorrectly reports this as true. Is there exactly one item there? Exclusive OR says, yeah, it's not. It's wrong. I remember complaining about this on Twitter, and I was very quickly rebuked by Electrical Engineers. I said, hey, this isn't working right. And they said, don't complain to Microsoft about this because it's working exactly like the Electrical Engineers want it to work. We need it to work the same way that the computer chip works. And so here I have 10 different cases with varying numbers of trues and falses. And if you have exactly one true, then exclusive OR returns true. But if there's two, it's false. Now, see if you can figure out what the pattern is. 3, it says, yeah, there's exactly one. 4, no. 5, yes. 6, no. 7, yes. What the heck is happening here? How's this saying that we have exactly one item? Well, the chip, the computer chip, it only accepts 2 inputs. So this has to be evaluated. These 10 arguments have to be evaluated 2 at a time. So you take the first 2. Is exactly one of those true? Yes, it is. Then take this answer, the first answer, the sub answer, and the next item. Is exactly one of those true? Yes, it is. Then this answer and that is exactly one of those true? No, we have 2 that are true, so it's false. All right, and you keep going out here, and you eventually end up with this, to me, wrong answer, that it is true. And it doesn't matter what order these appear in here. I can calculate now. I'm using the rand array. I'm sorting by the rand array. 2 dynamic array functions there. Those are brand new. No matter what order you evaluate this in, if there's 3 items, it's going to end up true. And what it simply is really doing is just counting if there's an odd number of items. And hey, we don't need exclusive OR to do that. We've had ISODD to do that, going back to at least Excel 2007 and in the analysis tool pack even before that. Why couldn't the electrical engineers just used this instead of needing exclusive OR? Now, if you agree with me that we need a way to count if exactly one item is true, then use this formula here, equal count if. If they're all false, then it's false. But if there's exactly one true, then it returns true. But if there's 10 trues or 3 trues or any number of trues here, we'll have 7 trues, it comes out as false. So it works much better than the exclusive OR. Now, hey, this video is part of the 2019 Excel hash competition where we had to use these items. You'll see your other favorite Excel creators on YouTube creating this. Please take just 30 seconds down in the YouTube description. There's a link there. Go vote for this video. Hey, I want to thank you for stopping by. We'll see you next time for another Netcast from Mr. Excel. Hey, well, welcome back to the outtake. Did you see it? The icon there. Also, the 2 icons that appeared here, depending on whether I put in an even number or an odd number. This is the behind the scenes. How did you create that? How do you use those icons? Icons came along in about 2018 if you have Office 365. Under illustrations, they've actually been adding to them. It's pretty cool. And I came out here looking for something that kind of indicated on or off to me, and there really wasn't anything that I liked for that. So I ended up using the battery being completely full or half full. You know, your choice. And what's nice here is you can choose 2 different icons. So this icon and that icon, and insert those into Excel. They show up like that. They are completely resizable, which is cool. You can change the colors. Now there's 2 colors. There's a fill color, so like that, and also an outline color. So you might have to change them both. You can barely see it there. Let's make it larger so you can see how those vary like that. So fill color and an outline color. Now, how did I make this work as a conditional linked picture? And hey, big shout out here to former Excel MVP Charlie Kidd, who figured this awesome little trick out here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use two cells, one on top of the other, put the on and off icons there, and then I choose that cell. I copy the cell, Control C, and then come back to where I want the item to appear, like here, and say Home, Paste, Linked Picture, right? So that is a picture of whatever is happening in this cell. All right, but what Charlie realized is that when this is selected, holy smokes, that's a formula. So if I change that formula, if I change it from S39 to S40, the picture itself is going to change, right? And Charlie used that to his advantage. So right here, I'm going to have a number either 0 or 1. 0 or 1 that are going to appear there. And I'm going to use the offset function. And instead of pointing to this cell, S39, I'm going to start, well, I guess I can start from S39 and go down either 0 or 1 rows. Now, if I try and enter the offset function here, it's not going to work. So, Formulas tab, define name, and I'll call it Cool Charlie, and it's going to be equal offset. This sheet is called Seems Wrong, and we're going to start in, it's S39, right? Yeah, right there. So S39 seems wrong, $S, $39, so we're going to start there. And how many rows down we go? That's going to be the answer from right here. This number's there, 0. How many columns over? 0 columns over. How tall? 1 cell tall, 1 cell wide, like that. So we now have something called Cool Charlie, and that defined name is allowed to be used as the reference for that linked picture. So right now, instead of S40, I'm going to say equal Cool Charlie. And as this 0 changes to a 1, the picture changes. Of course, it doesn't have to be just 2. You could have 10 or 20 or 30 of these. Really, really awesome trick. So, hey, shout out to Charlie Kidd, former Excel MVP, who came up with that trick. How about dynamic arrays? What dynamic arrays were used in this video? All right, the first one right here, I'm using the sequence function to generate the numbers 1 through 10. And if those are less than or equal to this number over here in column D, then give me a true, otherwise give me a false. So what that gave me is the exact number of trues. So here, where this says 5, I'm getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D12 hashtag says this one formula is going to return all 12 of those. That's a single formula returning that awesome array there for me. The other thing, I wanted to show that it doesn't matter if it's true, true, or true, then a whole bunch of falses and trues. So I had to generate a random sort. So I used the sort by function and then the rand array. So I have 10 items here that I want to sort. I want to sort them randomly. Every time that I press calculate now, that number of falses and trues stay the same, but the sequence of them completely changes. Cool use to randomly sort something. Great for employee drug testing where you choose 2 each quarter or something like that.